Hey there, I am Tam,
And I'm eternally mortal.
and this is the Hidden Egg Podcast, and it's season 2 now.
We're doing an entirely different thing. The podcast has historically been about vulnerability, and we are now going to do some reaction content. Vulnerability.
Yeah, it's still kind of about vulnerability, and we'll still talk about the same stuff, I'm sure.
Yeah, we're just talking.
But we're going to have a trigger that is a show that you can go watch on your own and then listen to the podcast and see what you think and, interact and everything.
And this, okay, so admittedly, this might be silly and ridiculous, and that's okay. We're totally fine with that, but I really wanted to watch Black Mirror again, and we just kind of had the thought of potentially doing it this way and watching it and then reacting to it and recording our reactions. So basically what we're going to do is when we find a reaction worthy moment, we're going to pause the show and then record our audio reactions to what's been happening and maybe give you like a timestamp or something. We're going to just fucking like wing it. We're going to do it first try and see what happens, and we'll adjust it as we go. I know this is vastly different from what we've been doing, and so, let us know how you feel about that. But here we are, and this is what we're up to for right now. After the COVID and the power loss, we're entirely different people now.
It really feels like a different world, to be honest with you. Like, I feel very different. I'm also on meds now, so that's fun.
Right. So, like, we're kind of... Season 2 is going to be taking it a little bit easier, maybe. Not straight going right at just the issues, and going about media and what it shows us as people.
Yeah.
And if you're interested, I hope you enjoy it.
Also, if you're interested in for future videos, we do this every Thursday. It is Thursday, right?
It's Thursday.
It is Thursday. We do this every Thursday, and we do the screen share thing on our Discord channel. I don't like there's a limited amount of people that are allowed to be in this particular like stage thing. I don't know what most of what I'm doing.
It's fine. We're streaming the show on our Discord and allowing anybody that's in our Discord to hang out with us while we do so. Yeah, we're doing the stage presentation, so you're not going to get a lot of chances to like speak yourself or anything. But you can hang out and watch and get it real time if you'd like to. No pressure.
Yeah, and we do have the chat open, so you can always chat with us while we're interacting with stuff and everything.
I think we're just about ready to get started. Do you have anything else you want to say, Tam?
Nope. So it's gonna cut out, and then we'll probably come back in with a reaction
and a timestamp, hopefully,
yep.
or at least a moment in the show. So, since we haven't said it yet, probably best for you to go watch episode 1 of Black Mirror called The National Anthem with us, or not. I don't know. It's a new age. Enjoy your content however you want to enjoy it. But yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
Now we are.
Yeah. Hi. Here we are. We're a few minutes in.
We're
About 5 minutes in to the beginning of the first episode, The National Anthem, and this is the part that I always laugh at. If you've seen it, we're right after what has been announced to the Prime Minister that he has to go and fuck the pig. You've seen this before too?
I thought I had seen the first few episodes, but I don't remember this. I do not remember this at all.
What do you think of the demand made of the highest position of British government? I might be wrong about that, but I think it's pretty high.
I think the princess is going to die. That's what I think. I think it's a ridiculous request that very few people are going to actually do. Like, why?
This is exactly the reason why I fell in love with the show instantly and decided to watch whatever it was going to give me, because the demand is so ridiculous. They very, very specifically make it to where this is a real video, this is a real demand, this is you either do this demand or this princess dies. So you, as a quote-unquote respected political citizen of Britain, are you willing to debase yourself and swallow your pride to save a young woman's life? Are you willing to do that? That's what first time I saw this, that's what I looked at, and I'm like, oh my god.
I don't feel like that's just pride. And I understand what you mean, but that's not just pride. This is value. That it goes beyond pride. Pride is just, telling everybody your dirty little secrets that you already have. Like, that's pride. But value is, if you weren't willing to do this to begin with, like, this is above and beyond just debasing himself and shaming himself. He's already got skeletons in his closet like everybody else. You want shame, just find the things that are already there.
True.
They want him to do something that is against most people's moral character.
Sure.
It's not just about shame. It's beyond humiliation. This is about making him into something that no one will believe is human ever again.
Really? You think sticking your dick in a pig makes you inhuman?
I think that people, like, on average, I think that people that don't believe in bestiality look at other people that do think that bestiality is okay as not really human.
Okay, well, first of all, there's a consent issue. I absolutely am against bestiality. I don't mean to imply
that's
that it's
kind of
okay.
what I mean.
I don't mean to imply that it's okay and everything, but an act that's not going to, because you can if it's a pig, you can guarantee that pig is not physically harmed by the act beyond the initial insertion or whatever, and so you can save a woman's life if you just take real care and make sure you do it right.
Yeah, but that's not the point. Okay, so there's like this huge debate in the erotica community where, like, furry porn, is it bestiality or is it not? And I don't think it is. Even if it has, animalistic qualities to it, the fact that the people in that situation are humanoid, they have sentience, they can communicate with you, they can consent, they can enjoy it. All of those things make them human enough that I don't see that as bestiality.
As long as consent exists, that's all that matters.
The pig cannot consent.
I know. I'm aware. Yeah.
And therefore it's a value
yeah,
issue.
I get you. And
because you're saying, I will kill this person unless you violate this pig.
mm-hmm.
What's worse? Somebody being dead where they can't hurt anymore, or being violated and having to live with that for the rest of their lives? Or worse, somebody has to eat that pig. Like, what happens to the pig? That's kind of that's why I think this is, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't want him to do it.
Oh, shit. Well, sorry about that.
What a way to put your phone on silent, bud.
Yeah. Total success.
And maybe I'm an asshole. I mean, I'm totally willing to accept that I'm just an asshole for it, but I don't know what kind of experience that's going to put on the pig. And I don't think that this prime minister deserves to live the rest of his life having broken such a vital value just for her to survive. There are things worse than death.
Sure.
And while it sucks that she didn't get to live, that's not his fault for not doing it. That's the kidnapper's fault. Let's not victim blame here. The kidnappers are making the decision. They could decide to not kill her, regardless of whether he actually comes through.
Right. I don't think I victim blamed, and if I did, I apologize.
No, you didn't. But I think there's sort of an almost forced perspective here of they're only giving you the two options. I mean, in a hostage situation, that's what it is. And there's a tendency to black and white that and say, well, if you don't do the thing, then your inaction directly led to this person's death, so their death is your fault. And I'm saying no, because there's this middleman creating the game that is the two options.
Right, absolutely.
It's always their fault.
Right. And the kidnapper is the worst one for me because he's directly taking away autonomy, and I hate that. So I understand, absolutely. I'm totally on board. And one last final thing I want to say before we get back to it. The actress that played the Princess Stephanie or whatever the fuck her name was, like, fucking killed the role.
Yeah, that was really well done.
That initial scene
very
was
believable.
very well done. I completely bought it. I just wanted to say that was awesome. Okay, I'm ready to continue if you
All right.
are.
On to the next one. Okay, so
Where are we at?
I had to pause it after the "would you watch" part. That's what this is. It said like 28% no or something like that.
No. It said 28% yes. It's 72%.
Oh yeah,
no.
right. That's bullshit. They're all lying. They are all lying. That 28% yes are the only people that are telling the truth. The rest of them, most of them would be watching.
There's some that won't.
There's some.
Are very much not.
A handful by comparison. There is no way.
No, everyone's gonna watch.
Everyone's gonna watch at least for a couple of minutes just to say that they were fucking there.
Right. But even the people that don't watch it immediately, they would watch it eventually, because it's like fucking Two Girls One Cup, you know?
Right. Or a train wreck.
Somebody convinced you to watch that eventually.
Right.
If you haven't seen it, don't. Please don't. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have brought it up.
I don't think it exists anymore.
Probably gone.
But I don't know. The internet has a way of making things come back, so I don't know.
Everything lives forever.
Don't do it, man. Okay.
Just so you know, we're right at around what time are we in the 14
about
minutes?
14 minutes.
Yeah. After the graphic on the screen of the news broadcast of "Would you watch?"
That wasn't very long. So
No, we're 15 and a half now.
15 and a half minutes in. I'm sorry. I had to cuz his wife is all upset because she believes that everybody's already imagining it. And they're laughing at us. And that's abuse, kids. That's what abuse does. You start worrying about people laughing at you and people imagining it. So what? That doesn't mean that you have to actually debase yourself and do it just because they're already... Like, what are you going to... You can't control what people think.
No, she's not trying to tell him to do it because of that. But she is, like... just breaking down because of the thought that, you know, now all of her status is gone.
But it's not.
No, it's really not.
Like, they haven't done anything. And people are going to spin something negative on it no matter what he does. That's why at the beginning, I feel like the only real choice to make is to stand by your values. Because without your values, you're nothing.
I can agree with that.
And I know that it's gonna, you know, potentially lead to this girl's death, but like that doesn't, like, her surviving isn't going to offset what, like, he's the leader of a nation.
Yeah.
He has a job to do. And I get she's a princess, and she's not even really a princess. She's actually just a duchess.
Yeah.
But she's not, she doesn't, like, she'll be a martyr at worst.
Possibly.
So even her death has more value in it than him trying to debase himself for that value. But I pause it here because his wife is doing the victim thing. She's freaking out. She's worried about what other people think. I don't know how she ended up being the wife of a politician to begin with. Like, that, you can't worry about that stuff and be a politician. I
understand. I think that we'll probably get a little bit more character building on these two to see who they are.
Sure.
Yeah, I can agree with that. It's a lot. A politician is going to have negative shit said about them just continuously in the media, especially when you're top dog, leader of a nation, like you said.
Exactly.
So, I assume prime minister is leader of a nation. I'm pretty sure Churchill was a prime minister.
Yeah, prime minister is basically kind of like the president,
Kind of, yeah.
but with a different setup. It's not actually like the president, but the prime minister's the I guess the head of the round table in a sense.
Yeah, if that's still a thing. I doubt that's still a thing.
No, I was meaning that like metaphorically. All right. Maybe we'll get farther than a minute in.
We'll see.
We'll see.
So we're about 24 minutes in.
He's about to stomp something, but I've been wondering this whole time, like, if he was trying to stick to his values, why was he having the impersonator thing with the trickery
Right.
on the side? And now we find out it was never his intention.
No, he didn't know about it. It was we saw a scene earlier of, I don't know who this lady is, but the severe lady that's always around the prime minister in the show.
Right, whoever she is.
She talked with somebody.
Considered it necessary.
She talked with somebody earlier on in the episode and was like, we need to consider alternatives. And that was the foreshadowing for this moment. But yeah, it shows that, the people in government are just people trying to do shit. Going around.
Well, it also
trying to
goes to
solve it.
show that, like, people in any, like, government or not, like, everybody should know what everybody's doing.
Right, open
Because when
communication.
you're not communicating what all is happening, like, this sort of thing could have been avoided if he had been like, no, we're not doing that. Do not do that. Like, what kind of... Maybe they wouldn't have cut off her finger. She may still have been dead, but it definitely wouldn't have...
Right.
Like, maybe it would have been quick.
And that's potentially why he's all pissed about it right now, is that because the princess has been hurt, or possibly just because of public opinion. There was a scene earlier, a few minutes ago, that we didn't pause for, but where, like, I'm assuming his buddy, the real, like, Ken doll-looking guy that is one of his advisors, was, like, basically, like, trying to comfort him and say, public opinion doesn't hate you. If this goes sideways, it's not your fault. Don't worry, big guy. You got this. Like, it was real cute. But it shows me that this prime minister cares very much about...
Public opinion.
About
I mean,
public
I think
perception.
I think that's politicians.
Well, you see, the reason why I'm a little triggered about it right now is because that is the only thing that Donald Trump cares about. And,
Does seem to, well, that's not true. He also cares about money.
only as it relates, I think, to power.
Well, to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so when I see politicians caring more about how they're perceived than what they're doing, I get really upset. It pisses me off. I really think that it's a lot more about doing the right thing when you're going to be responsible for a great number of people.
Well, I mean, in this case, he had also actually talked to the Queen, and he felt like, and we didn't hear the exchange or anything, but he felt like she was basically telling him in a veiled way, fuck the pig.
Yeah, that's the impression I got from it too. He was like, she said to make sure that we do everything we can,
right,
or everything you can, to get her home, to get the princess home, the Duchess home.
Right.
And he took that to mean, I gotta go fuck that pig. I'm sorry, I still find it funny. I know it's probably terrible. I'm probably a terrible person for it, but like, yeah. There's still a funny aspect to that. And maybe that means later in life I'm gonna have to be humiliated by publicly fucking a pig, and maybe I'll feel that horrible shame or whatever that's gonna happen from that. And I'll take my lumps as I take them, if that's what has to happen. I don't want to fuck a pig though.
I'm really mad at this old lady right now.
For going behind the prime minister's
Yeah,
back?
because she didn't seem to understand the choice. It was never about saving the girl or doing this, or this thing being done. It was about upholding values, and she went around his back and shut down his values And so even if they don't kill the princess, even if it all turns out fine, this lady has already destroyed his life.
Mm.
Because there is no way he can convince everybody that it wasn't his decision.
Yeah. Valid.
So his values are already
Compromised.
destroyed. They're already compromised. He might as well fuck the pig at this point. Because it's already been ruined. And so she pisses me off so much. Because she completely misunderstood this situation. It was never about whether or not he was willing to do a thing. It was always about they want to destroy his values and her going behind his back and making it, even if it was trickery, that video, even if it had worked, would still have destroyed his values and therefore would have been game over. So everything that she has done was wrong.
Understood.
And it makes me so mad.
I get it.
All right, we're going to continue.
Yep, we'll continue. $28.40 roughly.
Why do people run? Like, she would have known. I feel like she would have known. The reporters are not that stupid, are they? I'm actually, like, not super sure about this, but from what I've heard of reporters, they don't tend to run in situations like that. She knew that she was in a high-stakes situation. She knew that those were people with guns. She could have just held her hands up and said, I'm with whatever this radio or TV station was.
Right. Yeah, I think that probably would have been best for her to do. Panic situation, she just panicked and ran. Her fucking, like, boss was yelling run, like, for some goddamn reason.
Yeah, why would he say run? I just don't understand. That was, like, super needless. It doesn't feel believable.
No. If you're discovered by army peoples and with guns that are in a high pressure situation like that, I'm just lying down on the ground. I am immediately putting my hands on top of my head and lying down on the ground. And maybe screaming something like, I'm not resisting. Like, that's exactly what I'm doing in that situation.
Excuse me.
Because, like, those dudes are so hyped up, one of them's absolutely going to shoot you.
Like, that scene broke this episode for me. It's not even believable anymore.
Okay.
Like, that, a good story skirts the line of believability, but they never break believability. They never go so far as to make somebody do something that is outside the realm of what you believe is possible. And I just do not believe in today's day and age, especially, wasn't she a person of color?
Yeah, I think so.
I just don't believe that she would have run from a bunch of men with guns knowing that there was an operation going on here.
Yeah.
She knew what she was getting into. I don't think that running would have been an option.
I understand. I think that that's subjective, but I do understand.
Sure. There's other people that might have no problem believing in it, and maybe it is possible. It just doesn't feel believable to me.
Totally understand. All right, and we'll get back to you in a minute. So, 30, 40?
So at this point, right up to this point, actually, like literally right up to before the last thing that she said, I was thinking now he only has two options. Either do it and find a way to live with the consequences, or kill himself.
Yeah,
Because at that point, he can't really be blamed anymore because he's dead.
Sure. Well, he'll still be a despised individual.
Yeah, but he'll be dead, and he won't have to live with the consequences of being a despised individual. And neither one of those seemed like, great options, but they also, I'm not sure which one was worse.
Right.
Either.
Mm-hmm.
But then she said, I still don't understand why this woman is hanging around. Like, I feel like this woman who went behind his back to do all that stuff, I feel like she should have been, like, shoved out. Like, doesn't he have any power to control who is around him, who his advisors are?
He doesn't seem to me to be taking a lot of action. at
Yeah,
all.
that's also true.
This whole day. He even celebrated other people's accomplishments like they were his own. Like, I
That's
don't
true.
think this dude does much. That's why I think mommy and daddy are in the room, as they've been in the room for him his whole prime ministery. Because, like, that's just kind of the way that it seems with these three characters. These three characters are weird. I sense a sexual tension between old lady and him, if I'm being completely honest.
I don't know. There's definitely a codependent relationship going on with the three of them. It's super toxic.
Yeah, not great.
Not great.
I have a feeling that this is a relationship that politicians know very well. Honestly, it may be a little pushed out of proportion, or made a little dramatized here. But I bet that that many politicians have people like this, and that it's toxic like that all the fucking time. I hate that. That's why I want to be a politician. Show people that you don't have to do it the fucking shitty way.
Yeah, that remains to be seen. I think a lot of people have that thought, and it still hasn't seemed to break. But anyway, my point was, now she's said that they can't guarantee the safety of his family.
That's fucked up.
Which is really fucked up.
She's a government official saying we can't guarantee your safety. That is fucked. That's being threatened by your government.
No, I mean, that could just mean, like, there's going to be too many people coming at us to be able to stop them.
I understand that that's the way that she said it, but what I feel... I'm sorry, go ahead.
But the fact that, like, she's also bringing his family into it, which we've only seen his wife, but that may also include children.
Kids, maybe.
That we haven't seen in this. We don't know if he has children or not. But, like, to bring them into it and say that they can't protect the family, that's fucked up.
Yeah, it's very fucked up. That's why that's actually the moment for me that makes the episode a little bit unbelievable, is to think that a government official would actually threaten lives like that, because that's what that is. You can talk about what the implications of the words are, but the reason the words are said is a threat.
See, I find that fully believable.
Yeah, I figured.
I believe. I mean, aren't there people who said that basically Trump did that? It was like through very veiled threats, just like this, or maybe even more veiled than this. Basically, made it sound like if they didn't comply, their families' lives were forfeit.
Maybe, I'm not entirely sure, but I wouldn't put it past the man, but I don't think that any of the government officials that knew what they were doing would have ever done that. And this woman seems like she's been here a long time. And it boggles my mind that she would cross that boundary so easily.
Yeah, I don't like her.
No.
I don't like her at all. There's something wrong with her. Okay, we're gonna try to finish it. There's only 13 minutes left. But...
We might have one or two more pauses. And we're at the end. Yeah. It's a lot.
Yeah. Yep.
You have to give us a minute. Actually, there's a moment at the end of it there that brings me to like emotional feeling, like almost a brought to tears moment.
Which moment? I had one too.
I don't remember which one it was actually.
For me, it was when he was taking off his clothes to do the act, and he was just the things he was saying and the motions, and you could just feel that he didn't want to do it, but that he felt forced to do it because he's a good person. He has to do it.
Yeah. What did you think of the old lady not sharing that final bit of information with him?
It's moot.
Doesn't matter.
It's moot. Nobody knew. Nobody knew until after the fact. I do wonder why, like, was there really no policemen outside doing their thing? Was literally everyone so busy watching that there couldn't have been a handful of people out there
Well, I mean,
to notice?
one,
An hour after, like, he was doing it for an hour and she was released 30 minutes before, so that means that she was walking around for an hour and a half and nobody was out there. That seems unbelievable to me.
I don't know. I don't 100% know that the timeline demands that she was out there for an hour and a half before she was discovered. It did show that the first three people that discovered her, one of them was a cop.
Here's the thing. The hour and a half that I'm talking about is that he was still doing it an hour later. They said that he had been doing it for an hour, which means if they had found her before that point, wouldn't they have immediately put in a call and been like, hey, we found her, and then he didn't have to continue? You know?
I get you. I understand. And yeah, with the whole like walkie-talkie situation and the way police officers work, I assume also in England that it would be pretty instantaneous. And he was throwing up for a little while.
Yeah.
When she told him, when she found out that he was that she was rescued.
Right.
So,
So he obviously finished before they found her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we don't know how long that took. So, minimum hour and a half that she was out, that she was free, and you're telling me nobody, there was not a single cop stationed to be on the beat around the city? Like, seriously? That's no.
I mean, yeah, it seems like that's what they're
That
saying
is
to you.
Unbelievable. That is unacceptable.
Yeah, and I think that Black Mirror's, and we're looking at episode 1 of a new thing. There's a lot of aspects of Black Mirror, from what I remember, that are a little unbelievable at certain points, but it's more about thinking about the situation and what it means. Like, we saw all those people's reactions to the situation. They were all staring and appalled and staring still.
Right.
Like, that's the commentary that they're doing. And even the fucking end when the lady was like, this is a statement. And it's like, yeah, it was always going to be a statement. It was a statement about humanity, from my perspective. And
they made it sound like it was a statement about art. It was an art thing.
They kind of did, yeah. Because the first great art piece of the 21st century.
Yeah, sure. The thing I kind of want to talk a little bit about is the woman, the wife, at the end.
Mm.
And I know that they probably intended for it to seem like she just can't stand to look at him because he fucked a pig, right?
Mm.
But I don't think that's what's actually happening. I think, and maybe it's just I'm choosing to think this, but I think it's the fact that he didn't talk to her. He didn't talk to her before he did it, and she tried to call him, and he hung up on her. Sent her the voicemail.
Mm-hmm.
She tried to call him after it happened, and he did the same thing.
Yeah.
He didn't talk to her, and I think she can never, she can't get over the fact that she was so unimportant in that moment that he couldn't talk to her, communicate what was happening. Now maybe she wanted to talk him out of it. I don't know. Like that part's irrelevant. I think the part that he didn't even think, I mean, I know he was going through a lot, but it didn't comfort him at all to talk to her afterwards, to cry to her. I don't know about you, but I have several people that, if I had to go through something like that and they called me, I would pick up and blubber. I wouldn't be able to speak. I would just bawl my eyes out.
Yeah, and it's a little sus also because in the middle of those two calls, he made an appeal to the camera about loving his wife.
Yeah. Right? So, I feel like the moral of that episode is communicate with your partner.
Sure.
No matter what you have to do. Because they might seem on the outside like they've accepted that you've done the things you've done, but if you can't even, in the middle of making the decision, you can't even tell them that you've made the decision, much less ask them to be part of the decision making process, or be there for the fallout emotionally and share in that experience, to share in that humanness of the emotion of it, are you really together? Are you really partners? Can you really say that you're vulnerable enough to be two people spending their lives together, or are you just roommates with a wedding ring?
Right.
And responsibilities you share.
Sure. And yeah, I think communication is a key in any partnership. Absolutely.
That's what I take away from it, personally.
Valid. Well, that
Yep.
was our first episode of Black Mirror.
Yep. It's a huge smack in the face.
Yep. And the next one I remember also being pretty fucking rough. We didn't do it at the beginning. We did mention that we were watching Black Mirror, so look at your content warnings for the stuff you're watching, of course. But there is trigger-worthy content in this show, so be aware of that as we go through. And if you're someone that's not interested in watching Black Mirror, then maybe you're not going to get as much out of this podcast for the moment. I understand, but we're not going to just watch Black Mirror.
Yeah, we're gonna try to every once in a while sprinkle other things in, because Black Mirror can be a bit heavy.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I wanted to watch it. And part
of the reason why I wanted to do it on the podcast, but
yeah,
it might be too heavy to do every week.
We'll see.
Necessarily, we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
But I do want to kind of send an apology. Like, I genuinely care if you're an audience member that is upset by the change. Like, that's allowed. You're allowed to feel that way, absolutely, and you can express that. I'd like you to do it, respectfully if you could. But you can express your feelings, absolutely. I personally want this podcast still to be about vulnerability and being who you really are. So, I just wanted to express that I do care about that. But this is the direction that's kind of in line with what we want to do with our time right now. So I hope you're willing to come along with us. But if not, I hope you find other great media out there.
Yeah, and season 3 might be something completely different.
Absolutely.
You never know.
I think that just about does it, though.
Yeah.
You good to go?
Yeah, I'm good to go.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us while we make this change in direction. I'm Eternally Mortal, and I hope you find smiles this day.
I'm the Accidental Monster, otherwise known as TAM. You can find us both on medium.com, and follow yourself always. See ya.